Hi there and welcome to Lorena's Labyrinth. My name's Anna Pirelli. The comments that you see here are my views, beliefs, opinions, and sometimes they are not even my fully formed views, beliefs, and opinions. However, they are my understandings. Please do retain an open mind and reflect on any of the content and your comfort levels. If your views differ, please feel free to leave a comment. Also remember, it is possible to disagree in respectful ways. My way is not necessarily your way and vice versa. You might also find that some of the content on this playlist in regard to spiritual or universal laws, it resonates with you, meaning it feels right to you, while other laws may not feel right or they may not feel comfortable. If this is the case, the information is either not right for you or it is not right for you right now, and it might never be right for you at any given time. It really doesn't matter. As an earthy and practical person, I can put my hand up with all honesty and say that I have at different times had the same feelings about some of the content in here. And with some of them, I still have a level of skepticism within my viewpoints, but I choose to retain an open mind about the things that I don't fully understand for a few reasons. Firstly, because I believe it would be supreme arrogance to think that we all know all of the answers while we have a body. And because what is right for one of us is not necessarily right or suitable for all of us, and I choose to respect the differences. Please do leave your opinions, beliefs. Feel free to argue the points in a respectful way with any of the content on the slides and even my interpretations. And if you feel that you can add clarity around some of the content, we would all love to see it. Thank you. For now, though, let's explore the laws.
All creation is governed by law. The principles that operate in the outer universe, discoverable by scientists, are called natural laws. But there are subtler laws that rule the hidden spiritual planes and the inner realm of consciousness. Contained within these laws, or conditions, is the true nature of matter. Knowledge of these laws has an effect upon the mental urges. Mind is the builder. Stay in full mindfulness of the application of universal law as related to self and to others, and know that in love all life is given, in love all things move. In giving one attains, in giving one acquires. In giving, love becomes the fulfillment of desire, guided and directed in the ways that bring the more perfect knowledge of self as related to the universal, all-powerful, all-guiding, all divine influence in life. Love is life. When we go back, merge with the God source, in some infinitesimal but profound way, we expand the mind of God. Our higher self always points the best and most perfect way, and it is ours to listen and choose or reject what we hear. It does not blame, but patiently tries again to show the perfect way, the loving way. All of creation pushes forth. We are ever becoming. Identity ever remains.
Universal Law number 30. The law of forgiveness. This law works with the energy of allowingness and seeing all as love, so one may dispense with the unnatural feeling of getting even. The old energy of an eye for an eye keeps the vibrations of a person very low. To forgive, to release old anger, allows the law of grace to intercede and dispense with amounts of karma an individual has stored in his or her akasha. Nonviolence is the natural outgrowth of the law of forgiveness and love. All good comes from forgiveness. It is a truth that the continuation of the human species is due to man's being forgiving. Forgiveness is holiness. By forgiveness, the universe is held together. Forgiveness is the might of the mighty. Forgiveness is quiet of mind. Forgiveness and gentleness are the qualities of the self-possessed and represent eternal virtue.
Well, that was bigger than Ben-Hur. Let's try and unpack this. Forgiveness, according to this law, is about letting go. This is how I interpret it, and not worrying about payback and revenge. I see it as being the acceptance that everything is in divine order right now, today. This doesn't mean that what a person does to us is okay, especially if what they have done is malicious or vindictive. It just simply means that we refuse to take offence at those actions and we recognize that what these people are doing or saying is a reflection of themselves, especially if it's mean or cruel or unwarranted. I mean, if people are really malicious, it can definitely be hurtful, but we, of course, have choices in how we act and react to their behaviours, if you like. So what I see forgiveness as being about is that if we allow our reactions to consume us, then ultimately this law is saying that our energy becomes stuck, our aura vibrates at a lower rate, and if we understand energy and light, then we understand that if our aura is vibrating at less than love, consumed by, say, anger and bitterness and that kind of stuff, then we're blocking our own energy fields from receiving more light and love. So obviously that's not what we would desire over the long term, because to some extent this holding on to the pain is a form of self-harm, I think. Just my thoughts. I'm going to explore that more in the next slide. Anyway, that doesn't mean to say that when people are unkind or cruel to us that we allow this mistreatment to continue, because that would obviously demonstrate a lack of self-love, and in fact it would be very, very unhealthy. But instead we accept and respect that that person is on their path. They also are evolving, their soul in development, if you like, and we put the attention and focus on us and our behaviours, our reactions, and we make choices about how we're going to respond to them. So before I talk about this a little bit, I just want to rediscuss something on the other slide about what we can actually do if we are around malicious people or whatever. I've created those videos on friendships and circles and boundaries and that kind of thing. This is how we would address those behaviours. So there's strategy in that put up there. To me, forgiveness doesn't mean saying that what a person does is okay. It just means that not allowing their behaviour to consume us. But anyway, for now, let's take a look at what the law of grace means, because this is discussed in the law of forgiveness. And for your information, it's coming up, I think it's not law number 35, I've got it written as number 34. This will be coming up in the next few days. And within the law of grace, it does refer to karma. Now, of course, we have a law of karma, which we haven't touched on yet either, but karma, just as a little summarised point for those people that aren't aware, this is the consequences of actions. So the law of forgiveness, I believe, is basically stating that we don't need to worry about creating situations of justice per se, that is payback and revenge, because the universe is onto it. They're going to take care of it. At the end of the day, we are all going to experience karma at some point in time, and sometimes this karma might not actually be addressed until future lifetimes. Now, where acacia comes into this is, by definition, my understanding of acacia is that it's outlined in the Vedic texts, and my interpretation from what I can see is that it is a cosmic energy, and if I am correct, once again, it translates more literally as sky or heaven. So from a spiritual perspective, what I understand this to mean is that acacia is our own energy fields. And that's not a really good description. Okay, so there are energetic aspects of ourself, would be another way of describing it, but either way, okay, I'll stick with it. So there's energetic matter that belongs to us that is held in a place called the Akashic Records, and I'm not sure about if I'm pronouncing this right either, by the way, but it's etheric. We're talking about etheric substance, okay? And my understanding is that we can go to these places and actually retrieve information about our past life experiences, and the benefits of this is if you've got inexplicable fears and phobias in this lifetime. Now, I'm just going to have a little think about this before I continue with it, how to explain it. Hopefully I'll do the subject justice. Okay, so in the first instance, I need to point out that whilst it is said that there is a temple, an Akashic temple, that we can go and visit and retrieve information about past, sometimes we can retrieve information about future, but my understanding is that this is all contextual as well, and you will understand where I'm coming from if you watch the video that I have put up that will be about my own personal experiences and interaction with light beings and the angelic realm. But where I'm going with this is, when we talk about Akasha, we're talking about the energetic matter. This is what I understand, think, believe, until somebody tells me different, that the Akasha is the energetic matter that is stored up at the temple, and this matter will record if we have been vindictive, shall we say, and sought for payback and revenge and tried to harm other people and that kind of stuff. And it is based on this information that we get our karma. So even though somebody might have done something really bad to us that hurts us, if we are motivated by revenge and harm, then we're going to incur karma as well, and it might not be the karma that we want, even if it's justifiable. So how else would I put this? I think I've clearly explained the Akasha bit and the negative aspects of holding to ourselves, of holding onto these thoughts. I think the key message here is to trust that everything is in divine order. These people are going to experience their consequences to their own actions in the divine way at the divine time. I do feel and suspect this law is also saying that if we are truly forgiving, we, trying to encourage us to be more forgiving, we would find it in ourselves to pray, and I'm putting quotation marks here, to pray for the repose of these people's souls, these people that violate us. And it's along the biblical passage. It's amazing how some of those things come to my head from my Catholic past. Every now and again they'll float in like this. That forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. This is a passage in the New Testament, and probably a product of my Catholic upbringing. It's been banged into my head from an early age. But then there is another biblical quote that's probably more relatable across multiple religious faiths, which says one should never do something to others that one would regard as an injury to one's own self. In brief, this is Dharma. Anything else is succumbing to desire. Now, that quote is apparently from a Sanskrit text, and it's also, I believe, related to what we have here in universal law and wisdom of that spirit of brother and sisterhood. If we're seeking to create harm or to injure another person, even if we feel that's warranted, ultimately it bounces back on us. So before moving on to the next slides, I think it's really important to acknowledge that when we have a really good sense of self, as in we're comfortable with who we are, we value ourselves, we respect ourselves, we know ourselves, we know our strengths, we know our limitations, and we're completely honest with ourselves, because we're all growing all the time. None of us, I don't think there's anybody walking the planet that really does meet this idea of perfection, as in angelic perfection, where they're never phased, they're never angered or frustrated or whatever. I just don't know that that's humanly possible, because that's part of the life path. But anyway, where I'm going with this is, when we really know and understand ourselves, it doesn't matter what a person says to us, because we can see when they are projecting at us, and we can see when there might be value to their comments, and we don't take anything personally. And that is one of, I can't remember his name right now, Don Miguel Ruiz. Don't take anything personally. We're more comfortable taking that on board. It's different when, I think, for people, when there is a physical violence or something like that, it gets harder, I think, for people perhaps to shrug that off. That can definitely create a crisis of faith if there's been a loss of life, or somebody ends up with terminal cancer, or you're watching people suffer. That can be really difficult. In fact, actually, I would say that's probably one of the biggest challenges that can lead to a crisis of faith. We might have to do a video on that, where Yeah, let's not talk about that now. We'll get stuck on that one. So as I was doing this content, I actually had a little bit of an awakening here, especially in regard to concepts of payback and revenge, because I think, yes, look, clearly we can identify that if we seek to see harm done to another person, even if we feel that it's justified to do those actions, it is definitely creating harm to ourselves and to other people. But another form of harm that I came to, this was my little light bulb moment, is sometimes payback can be this desire for justice, especially if we have somebody's broken the law and we've been harmed by that, or somebody that we love has been harmed by them. And we can become fixated on this business of we want to see justice, and fair enough, we're humans. We want to see justice, especially if somebody we love is hurt, and sometimes there is going to be a legal consequence, such as police involvement. Now, sometimes, of course, we might feel that justice does not prevail, at least through, through the earthly processes. And then we have to try and find faith within this, that justice will prevail ultimately. Now, when I talk about the harmful processes, I'm going to explain to you why perhaps justice, this desire for justice, can be akin, for want of a better word, along the lines of payback, not necessarily revenge, but the fixation on a desire for justice when there has been injustice can also be harmful too. So, for example, I'm thinking about conditions such as complex post-traumatic stress disorder, which we know evidentially this condition is based on as an end product of people being on the pointy end of really poor treatment and injustice. And these poor people can become stuck in the past, ruminating on their pain and suffering. So in some ways, I guess that we can turn around and say, yeah, this is a form of self-harm, where they are reliving this pain all the time about their victimisation until they can heal and move past this pain. They want to see justice, but, sometimes it's, I guess, a harsh earthly truth. We don't get to see the justice dispersed in this lifetime. And while we're fixated on this desire for justice and retribution, if you like, divine retribution, just seeing the scales balanced, then it blocks them from experiencing the peace and love that they deserve. As I said, these are areas for healing and release, though. There's a couple of other little pointers I want to make here in regard to these to this business of payback and revenge, though. What I find interesting is, I mentioned my Catholic past before. There's another biblical passage that comes to mind, and I believe it's recorded in the Torah as well. So obviously this must be a belief of Jewish people too. And it's along the lines of, and I'm just going to use the little passage out of context, because it's down to translation as well. We've got language issues. But anyway, it says, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. Something like that. Now, if we live by the Bible, if a person is a Christian or a Jew and they're living by the Bible or their book of faith and wisdom, then they will understand they don't need to sweat the small stuff. The divine has everything in order, and this is great, because if we leave it to the divine, this business of justice and vengeance and all of that, we can just get on with our lives, trying to be the best person that we can be, living with as much love and kindness and compassion we can towards our fellow man. Now, I want to point something else out here, because I find this fascinating. This was another little light bulb moment I had as I was preparing. And this is that within the modern context, one of the primary indicators for what is called narcissistic personality disorder is actually vindictiveness and this desire for revenge and payback. So that's worth considering too. I think most people know that if somebody's got narcissistic attributes or whatever, they convey this aura or whatever of being confident, they're so good at whatever they do. In the extreme cases, people might turn around and say that they've got a God complex themselves or whatever. But underneath this veneer, there is a very insecure person who is very easily hurt, very easily threatened, and when they are triggered by the smallest of things, then yes, they will knee-jerk and lash out. And their defining quality is this desire to pay back and hurt the person that they believe hurt them. So that hopefully is a good motivation for us all to take a good look at ourselves and go, if I think about, paying them back, am I being a narcissist? Every chance you are. So this is an opportunity for growth and development as well. Hand it over to the divine. Choose your reactions. So this ended up being a little bit longer than what I thought it was going to be. So talking about the other parts of the law of forgiveness, it does clearly state that non-violence is the natural product of love and forgiveness, and that forgiveness, therefore, can only create good and better outcomes for all of us. Now, I totally understand and I accept that this is better for the species, mankind, humanity, to avoid being violent with each other. Now, as for holiness, I decided to unpack this word. Forgiveness being holiness, I can accept when it's about pulling together all the aspects of self, quieting the mind, living virtuously, exhibiting kindness and compassion to all people. And I can also accept and respect that for many of us that are walking around on the earth plane, this is an aspiration, and this is because we're human and we are in a process of evolution. We are revisiting this business of having a holy and WHOLY, wholly connected to the divine, aligning ourselves with divine energy. And to me, this could be how holiness is meant to be spelled, But anyway, in summary, I guess that I feel and believe that forgiveness is about allowing the processes to unfold, but not allowing hurt to consume us or to direct the rest of our lives. Of course, I'm always interested in what you think and feel and how you interpret the law of forgiveness and the practicality of being able to live with forgiveness on the earth plane, because earth is a challenging experience without a doubt. Anyway, I look forward to seeing your comments. I'm so glad, I'm so grateful for your participation in my journey. I wish you well today. Don't forget, we're coming up to a new year, so now's a really good time to take a look at energy for the upcoming year, for 2024. Anyway, for now, be blessed. Have a glorious day. Take care. Bye-bye.